Her best friend looked me in the eye and said, "You don't deserve her." She demanded I apologize or lose her forever. So I stayed silent, walked away, and let reality destroy them both. I am 34, and for almost 2 years, I truly believed I was standing firmly in what I thought was a steady, meaningful relationship with my girlfriend, Emily. Our life together wasn't a perfect fairy tale. No relationship ever truly is, but it felt comfortable enough, warm enough, and solid enough that I allowed myself to dream about a future that included her in every corner of it. We had our quiet routines that made the days feel special. We shared breakfasts that turned into long conversations, celebrated small wins like they were big victories, and we even built traditions out of little things, like Sunday mornings filled with coffee, newspapers, and that quiet kind of happiness that made life feel secure. For a time, I thought that was what real love looked like. Consistency, comfort, and a shared vision of tomorrow. But no matter how much I tried to focus on the relationship between Emily and me, there was always a shadow hovering, an unspoken presence that colored everything. That shadow was named Mark, Emily's best friend since her college years, long before I came into the picture. From the very beginning, Emily told me not to worry about him. She made it clear that he was just a friend, someone who had been in her life for years, someone she trusted deeply. And I wanted to believe her. I am not the kind of man who polices friendships or tells someone who they can or cannot see. That's never been who I am. But something about Mark was different. It wasn't jealousy. It was the subtle, almost unmistakable tension that lurked beneath his interactions with me. It was the way his face tightened whenever I walked into a room. The way he made small jokes at my expense, jokes that walked the thin line between humor and insult. It was never a direct punch, but always a small slice that cut just enough. If you've ever been around someone who dislikes you but wraps their hatred in sarcasm, you know exactly what I mean. That's what it was with him. A constant simmering disdain he tried to mask as harmless banter. I did bring it up to Emily once, gently. I didn't want to sound paranoid or jealous. I simply asked if she ever noticed the way he treated me. She dismissed it immediately with a smile that suggested I was overthinking. "That's just how Mark is," she said. "He jokes around with everyone. Don't take it so seriously." Maybe I could have accepted that answer if his jabs were spread equally among the group. But over time I realized his comments always cut in one direction, at me. He didn't tease her other friends the same way. He didn't make those sharp remarks toward anyone else. Just me. Still, I let it go. I told myself not to stir up drama. I told myself that if Emily trusted him enough to keep him in her life, then I should try to tolerate him for her sake. That's what compromise in a relationship is, right? Swallowing the little irritations for the sake of peace. The breaking point came one evening when Emily invited me over for a small dinner gathering at her apartment. She loved hosting those nights. A few friends, good food, wine, and a sense of community that always made her glow. That night, there were about 6 of us around the table, and of course, Mark was among them. At first, the atmosphere felt light. Conversation flowed, stories were shared, and for a brief moment I thought maybe I had misread him all along. He was civil, almost friendly. For the first half hour, I even allowed myself to think tonight would be different. But then it began. Slowly at first, subtle little digs aimed my way. Comments like, "Oh, you wouldn't understand. That's more our thing." Whenever Emily and her friends shared a story. Or, "Yeah, that's not really your style, is it?" When I spoke about music. Nobody else seemed to notice, or maybe they did but didn't want to step into the middle of it. I tried to ignore him, tried to tell myself not to ruin the evening for Emily. But the words kept coming, each one cutting a little deeper. By the time dessert arrived, Mark was done with the subtlety. He leaned back in his chair, smirk resting on his face, and waited for the right moment. Then, with a heavy thud, he set his glass down, leaned forward, and looked me directly in the eyes. "Honestly," he said loudly enough for everyone to hear, "I don't know what she sees in you. She could do so much better. You don't deserve her." The room fell silent. The words cut through the atmosphere like a blade. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. Glasses froze mid-air. Suddenly, everyone at that table realized they were witnessing a confrontation no one wanted to be part of. I sat there, my first instinct to laugh it off like I had so many times before. But this time was different. This wasn't a joke. This wasn't masked sarcasm. This was a direct public challenge. I looked across the table at him. His eyes were steady, full of satisfaction, like he had been waiting months for this moment. I could feel the heat rising in me, but I didn't raise my voice. I didn't slam my hand on the table. Instead, I spoke calmly. "Mark," I said evenly, "that was out of line. You've made your feelings about me clear since day one, but what you just said was beyond disrespectful. You don't get to talk to me that way. Not here, not in front of everyone." The room was frozen. People shifted in their seats, avoiding eye contact. Mark smirked, thinking he had gotten what he wanted. But I didn't bite further. I didn't insult him back. I didn't sink to his level. "You don't have to like me," I continued calmly, "but you will respect me. I've done nothing to you. I'm not accepting this treatment anymore." The silence that followed was deafening. The dynamic had shifted. And that's when I looked to Emily, expecting at least a flicker of support. But what I saw instead was annoyance. Her arms crossed, her lips pressed tight. Then she spoke words that felt like ice cutting through my chest. "Apologize," she snapped. Couldn't believe it. She wanted me to apologize to him. "What?" I asked, thinking I misheard. "You don't get to talk to him like that," she replied sharply. "He's my best friend. If you can't respect him, then we're done." The room went colder than it already was. Everyone looked away, embarrassed. And in that moment, everything became clear. Emily had made her choice, and I wasn't it. So I stayed silent. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I didn't try to win the moment. I simply smiled calmly, leaned back, and let my silence speak for me. A few minutes later, Emily stormed out. I thanked the remaining guests and left too, feeling heavy but strangely at peace. That night at home, I realized the truth. If she couldn't defend me against someone who publicly humiliated me, what future did we really have? So I let silence be my answer. I didn't call, didn't text. Days turned into weeks, and slowly I began to rebuild my life. Then, weeks later, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find Emily standing there, tears in her eyes. She looked broken. "Can we talk?" she asked quietly. She sat on my couch and finally admitted everything. After I left, she saw Mark for who he truly was. He made his move on her, tried to replace me the moment I was out of the picture. Suddenly she understood everything I had tried to tell her all along. The jokes, the comments, the undermining. It had never been about protecting her. It had been about keeping me in my place until he thought he could take over. She sobbed, saying she regretted that night, saying she should have defended me, that she should have seen it sooner. But I sat there calmly, looking at the woman I once thought would be my forever. "Emily," I said quietly, "I believe you regret it, but once respect is broken, the relationship can't be the same. You asked me to apologize to the man who disrespected me. That's something I can't forget." She cried harder, begged me to reconsider, told me she had cut him off. But my answer didn't change. I wasn't angry. I wasn't bitter. I was just done. Eventually she left in tears, losing both me and the friend she defended over me. I didn't need to yell. I didn't need to prove myself. All I had to do was stay silent, walk away, and let reality show her the truth she refused to see.